Effects, I suggest you go watch my intro to shape layers, where I go into how shape layers work and what they're made of. Link in the description. In this video though, we're going to go a little bit deeper and I'm going to share with you 7 tips and tricks you can use on shape layers. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, let's kick this video off with a really rather simple one, but it's not as straightforward as it may seem, and that is how to draw a triangle. So if you go up to the shape tools, you'll notice there's a tool for rectangle tool and an ellipse tool, a polygon tool, even a star tool, but there's no tool for a triangle. You could use the pen tool, of course, to draw out your triangle, but then you end up with a wonky triangle. The way to create a triangle is actually with the polygon tool or the star tool. So in this case, I'm just going to use the polygon tool, and I'm going to draw out my polygon right here. And right now I have a polygon with 6 points. And before I release my mouse click, I'm going to do Alt down arrow until it reduces down to 3 points. Now I have a triangle. I want to make a note that if you use the Alt arrow key method, you are setting the default points for that tool, the polygon tool, to 3 points. So anytime you use that tool to draw another shape, you're going to be drawing another triangle. If you want to get back to drawing like a polygon, you can do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So Alt and the up arrow key. So I'll just draw my triangle, and before I release my mouse click, I'll do Alt, up, until I have the number of points I want. You can also go into the contents, shape path, and change the number of points in there if you don't want to mess around with the defaults. Alright, so shape morphing in After Effects is actually pretty straightforward. You just need a keyframe for your beginning shape and a keyframe for your end shape. Now, I want to note that in order to morph between 2 shapes, you have to use Bezier paths. And if you don't know the difference between a Bezier path and a parametric path, go check out my video on Intro to Shape Layers, link in the description, where I go over those 2 differences. Now I've created a square here, and we're going to morph this square into a circle. Now, I know, this isn't the most exciting morph, but it's a great morph to show you the fundamentals of how this process works so that you know how to avoid common pitfalls when morphing between 2 shapes. Because I guarantee the first time you do it, you're not going to get a result that you're pleased with. So by using this simple example, I can illustrate to you some of the common issues that happen when morphing, and you can avoid those, and you can then move on to more complex shapes. So let's jump in. So the first thing is I'm going to go to the path property here on the square, and I'm going to create a keyframe to mark that shape. Then I will go a couple of frames down, and this is where we're going to be pasting our second keyframe for the circle. But first, we need to get that circle information. So to create that, I'm going to use the ellipse tool, and I'm going to make sure that the Bezier path is selected, or this little thing is checked, so that I'm making a Bezier circle and not a parametric circle. Which, again, to emphasize, you cannot morph between a Bezier path and a parametric path. Okay, so now that we've got that all set up, I'm just going to select my square here, just so I can get this little anchor point marker, so I know exactly where the center of my shape is. And then from there, I'll hold Control Shift and drag out until I fill my square. And now I have my circle path information that I can then go in and copy by hitting Control C, and then I will select the path of my rectangle and hit Control V, and that will paste it, and you can see my square turn into a circle. However, now this is where you probably fall into the same pitfall, but when we morph this, let me just turn off that ellipse. When we morph between these 2, this is not the kind of morph that we wanted, and that is because the shape is flipping, because one keyframe, the path shape is going in one direction, and then in the second keyframe, the path is being drawn in the second direction. So we need to flip one of these paths. We're going to flip the circle. So I will select that keyframe and double click on one of the points, which will select all of my keyframes, and then I'm going to turn back on the ellipse just to use as a guide again. And then we will select all those, and holding Control, we'll just transform this and flip it like that. Now, if I turn off that ellipse, we can see that this shape transform is much more pleasing, but there's still something weird with it because it's kind of...
Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining joining the stream. If you were watching that video in the intro, that's my latest video on shape layers and delving more into the effectors that you can apply to shape layers. If you want to go check that out, make sure to hop on over there after the live stream is over, of course. How's everybody's day going? Hope you guys had a good and productive week. Where's everybody joining from? Let's start with that question. We got a few people in the chat. We'll just let people kind of trickle in as we get started here. And let me know if this is your first time joining the live stream. Welcome, welcome. Franco, good to see you again. Good to see you again. Chile, Turkey. It's got to be pretty late in Turkey for you to be joining. That's dedication. Especially on a Friday night. Let's check something real quick before we get started. Okay. Hey, if you just joined, let me know where you're joining from. Infinite Imagination, hello. Welcome to the stream. I know Franco's been on the streams before. How many of you guys are joining for the first time? Keep in mind that my stream is a little delayed from when I see your messages and they pop up on the stream. We got another person from Turkey. What time is it in Turkey? It's got to be pretty late, right? Scotland. Sander Corp. Joining from Scotland. Welcome. It's about almost 5 p.m. here where I'm at in the Mountain Standard Time. Second time, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining again. From Morocco, Xander Corp. Have you tried getting the internet? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, 1:40 a.m. in Turkey. Do you guys just not sleep, or what's the deal there? Are you just that dedicated to learning After Effects? Because if so, that's awesome. So 23:40. So what's that? 11:40. Joel from Mexico. Welcome, Joel. Thanks for joining. Franco, 6:40 p.m. Ah, so Chile's only 2 hours behind. So you guys are on Eastern Standard Time. It's funny because I always think of South America as like directly below North America, but it's actually kind of, so Chile is like below New York. I always think of Chile, you know, California and then Chile, but it's pretty far over because the continent goes like that, you know. It's kind of funny. Oh no, my connection's not slow. My internet's fine. It's just that there's a delay between when I say something and then you guys actually hear it. It's just a natural delay in the stream. So sometimes I ask a question and I kind of just have to wait awkwardly while I wait for you guys to respond. It's not like you guys don't hear what I'm saying right when I say it. You hear it maybe 30 seconds later. Maybe. I don't know exactly what the delay is, but yeah, my internet's pretty good actually. How's everybody's week? Productive? Anybody learn anything new? What's everybody working on? Are you working on explainer videos, character animations, video editing? I've had a really crazy the past 2 weeks have been crazy with freelance work, so I haven't been able to publish a YouTube tutorial, but I have been able to get on these live streams. But the last time was also on a Friday evening because it's the only time I have time to do this. Hopefully next week, though, is going to be a little bit slower. I'm going to be focusing on finishing up my first chapter of my character rigging course, which if you haven't heard about, go check it out. keyframeacademy.com/character-preorder. This next week will be the last week to pre-order the course, which basically just means it's the last week to get it at a discounted price before the course launches, because after next week I'm going to start launching the lessons to those who have pre-ordered it. And so once that happens, the pre-order is over. And we'll still have a pretty good price for launch. It won't be full price, but it'll definitely not be as discounted as it is now. And for those of you who pre-ordered really early on, you guys got a really sick deal, because this course is going to be chock full of information about character animation in After Effects, and yeah, you guys got a heck of a deal on that. Franco says, I'm working on developing a Do It course, but in Spanish. That's awesome, dude. I'm sure, I imagine there's probably a huge market for that and not a lot of content out there. So hopefully you can take what I wish I spoke Spanish, but I don't. But hopefully you can take what I teach you and you can put it in your course. AC, not today's not the last day. So next week will be the last week. So probably on the 16th of May will be the last day you can pre-order the course. Because either on the 16th or sometime that week is when I'm going to start releasing the lessons to those who have pre-ordered. So if you want to get the lessons you want to be among that group of people who start getting the lessons, you got to pre-order it. Otherwise, you just got to wait until it's all out to the people who pre-ordered it, and then you can get access to the course. I mean, you can still purchase it after the 16th. You just won't be part of the pre-order group. So you'll just have to wait until they've gone through the course, and then you'll just have to wait for the launch date, but you can still order it at that time. So you just go to keyframeacademy.com/character-preorder. I believe that there is a link in the description. Let me make sure that I'm not lying to you. Yeah, right at the top of the description. You can just go there, and this is where you would purchase the course right here. Pre-order it. We're going to be teaching stuff It's not just character rigging, right? But it's how to create animations like this and this and this. So we're going to build a framework for how to approach animations like this. I'm going to teach you everything I know about character rigging. We're going to be using After Effects, obviously. We're going to be diving a little bit into Illustrator. We're going to talk about character design. We're going to be using Duik, but not for rigging. But we're going to use some of Duik's other tools because we're going to be using Limber as our main rigging tool. And the exciting thing is that Limber is going to be included as a temporary license if you don't already own it. You will get a full license to Limber that will last for the duration of the course. And you can use that. And I'll go through all the ins and outs of Limber and how I like to use it and everything it can do to create these kind of animations. All these animations, with the exception of this one at the top right, these were all made using Limber. This one, I think I ended up just using Duik because it was literally a little illustration that I just wanted to move the arms. But, so basically the course is going to be broken up into 3 different categories, which is going to be the first chapter is just going to be like the basics. We're going to go over all the basics of character rigging. How to set up your character, what to parent, what layers, parent which layers to which layers, how that hierarchy should go. Then we're going to take that basic rig and we're going to pump it up to, 10. We're going to make it turn its torso, turn the head, make it so it's a rig that can do some dynamic movements beyond just like a walk cycle. But we are going to go over how to animate a walk cycle because I think it's important to know how to animate a walk cycle, because even if you don't do a lot of walk cycles, going through that process teaches you a lot about how to approach any kind of movement with your character. And then in chapter 2, we're going to take that basic character and we're basically going to show you how to make a more detailed character. So when you have artwork like this, or this, or this, like how do you adapt characters? How do you design characters to do all those things? So basically, chapter 2 is going to be like chapter 1, except we're going to add all the complexity of how do you deal with outlines, and how do you deal with different character styles, and what do you do when you're handed a character design from a graphic designer? How do you break that down to be rigged? And then obviously, in both chapters, we're going to go over how to animate different actions. We're going to talk about when to use IK versus FK, how to seamlessly switch between the two. We're going to talk about like things like how to animate hands, how to approach that. And then in chapter 3, that's where we're going to do really focus on like really dynamic animations like this one in the lower third right here. This guy. How do you approach an animation like this where you're animating the camera, this virtual camera swinging around the character? How do you create this foreshortening? How do you plan that, concept it? How do you create references so that that can guide you through the whole process? So it's going to be a really detailed course. So again, if you haven't checked this page out, this is keyframeacademy.com/character-preorder. You can go check it out. In the next week or 2, this landing page is going to be filled with information about the course. Right now, it's just very basic. The information that I have on the course is just what I'm sharing with you right now. So, yeah, go check it out. And if you're interested in pre-ordering it, you have until the 16th to get in that pre-order, and then you'll be able to start the lessons then. If you're not quite ready to pre-order it, if you're a little skeptical, or you're not ready to drop the money, you want to know more about it, totally understand. There's this little link underneath the pre-order button right here that you can just drop me your email and I will let you know when the whole course is out. So, yeah. Let's catch up on some chat messages. I'm moving to Venezuela, to an island that's called Isla de Margarita. Now living in Argentina, the connection is a problem right there in Venezuela. I work for an ONG editing videos. Basic motion graphics. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much you rely on the internet for your work. Obviously, if you're using YouTube a lot to... oh, nice. Albert just pre-ordered the course. Thank you, Albert. If you're here watching, appreciate it. Everybody follow in Albert's footsteps and pre-order the course before the 16th, May 16th. And again, if you don't want to pre-order the course by May 16th, that's totally fine. You can always purchase the course after that. It just won't be at $79. The launch price right now is around $250, which I think is an extremely fair price. That's obviously $250 USD. I think that's an incredibly fair price for all the information that's going to be packed into this course, considering similar courses on character animation from Motion Design School and School of Motion, which School of Motion doesn't even have, like, they have two courses. One is on character rigging and it's old, and one is on character animation, and so it's a separate course. The character rigging one's around $200. The character animation one, which I haven't taken it, so I can't say if it's good or not. It's probably really good, knowing School of Motion. They make great stuff, but it's almost $1,000 for that course. Now, granted, School of Motion, you get a lot with that $1,000, right? You're not just getting a course, you're getting access to professionals who will critique your work. And that's something I want to build into the course in the future when we have the resources to do that. But right now, I don't have the resources to do it with how many people have pre-ordered the course. So there will be kind of an element of a community feedback on, you'll be able to share what your projects from the course with the community, and we'll be able to give you feedback and whatnot. But there won't be a one-on-one at this time. So that's why School of Motion's so expensive, because you do get a lot of really good value for that. But for those of you who are kind of self-learners, self-starters, I really think $250 is an incredibly fair price. Again, considering, you have Motion Design School, they have a character animation, the science of character animation, taught by Motion Marcus, who's an incredible animator, incredible teacher. I've taken that course. I've learned a lot. He uses his own tool called Character Tool, which I personally don't like. It lacks some features that I really look for in a character tool. So in mine, it will be we'll be using Limber. And again, Limber is included in case you don't own it. So don't let that be a deterrent. You'll need Duick installed, and you'll get Limber included with the course. Of course, most of you probably know Duick is a free-to-use software. Although if you do end up using it, if you do get to a point where you've got a grasp of it and you're making money doing character animations, you should definitely think about donating to Duick and further developing that piece of software, because it really is it adds a lot of value to After Effects. Anyway, so again, thanks Albert for pre-ordering that, and for those who aren't ready, no biggie, just leave me your email and I'll let you know when the course is out. You can take a second look at this landing page when it's all filled out. You can decide if that's something you want to do. All right, so Juan, you're telling me you're doing basic motion graphics and editing videos. That's cool, that's cool, that's cool. So today, let me pull up After Effects here. Today, we're just gonna keep working on this animation. Now, I don't know how many of you guys, I know some of you were here last time, like likely AC was here. I don't know, Franco, if you joined us last time. I've seen you in a couple of the streams, but we worked on this little animation right here. And it's kind of a recreation of this animation I've already done. But this version of the animation was kind of a test run, if that makes sense. Like I'm not really focused on the art style. I'm mostly just trying to figure out like how to animate things. And a lot of times when I'm trying to figure out how to animate things, I don't want to be bogged down by trying to make it work with I want to tackle one thing at a time. So I got to figure out how to animate it, and then maybe I can start figuring out how to do it with the art style that I'm using. And then with Illustrator, let me close a few things here because I got my freelance project open on Illustrator, and it's a bunch of stuff I don't want to show you guys. Not because it's secret or anything, but it's really boring. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys the character artwork that I'm working with. Hopefully it's still here. Let me see. I don't know. Whoa. Just a second, let me, I just need to pull up this, and I've forgotten where I put the character design. It is the same character that's in the thumbnail of this video, but I just wanted to pull up so we can see it full screen. Maybe I'll just do this. Okay, let's go to Illustrator. All right, so this is a little thing I sketched based on what's in my head. I sketched this out in, no, we gotta find the actual file because I actually started drawing this out in Illustrator. Problem is, I don't remember where I saved it. It's not this. It's not that. Similar. I use this for a thumbnail too, but I didn't rig this. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I'm always doing these free live streams, and a lot of the stuff that I cover in the course, I do cover in one shape or another in these live streams. Oftentimes I don't have time to go in as much detail and explain things as meticulously in these live streams, obviously, but I do try to always provide a lot of value in these live streams because I do appreciate you guys jumping on a Friday evening. I did want to just bring this chat box below there we go. So we're not covering the okay, well, I don't remember where that went, but if we go back over to After Effects, we've got it basically all set up, right? The legs are kind of moving. So I think next what I want to work on is the arms. and how those are gonna, well, maybe I should work on like the cloak and do those wavy things and show you guys how I did that in the previous one and play around with that a little bit. Then once we have that going, we can work on the arms. All right. Let's get going. So, while I'm working on this, question for the chat, for those watching, what are you currently working on? Are you working on character animations, or do you mostly just work on generic motion graphics, explainer video type stuff? Do you work on titles? What is your biggest workhorse? You know, what brings in the bacon? Trying to, come on, there we go. All right, so I want to try, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna, so that's, oh, that's right, okay. So this is made with this shape layer that has the settings, the pinning to set to all edges. So what that does is that means these edges right here and here don't move. They're stationary. And what that does, well, it's not as important in this case, but that means we get, and then again, I have this, it's just, the pinning is just set to this, but I wonder if I set this to all edges. Okay. And now, that actually kind of looks better. I'll have to adjust it a little bit, but I'm a video editor working on character rigging and animation for my small project. Is this a client project or is this a passion project, personal project? Okay, now I need to move this over here. So this is serving as this little part right here. Wrong picture. Okay, this little part of the cloak. Personal. Cool. Are you, what would you rank your skill level of character animation? Are you familiar with it? Is this the first time? Are you new to it? College animation as a personal project, and you're doing character animation? I'm assuming, for that college project. So that's what this is right here. So this layer set to alpha inverted, and then this layer is cutting that out. It's creating this little thing. Now, the one thing that I might have to just sacrifice, because I can't really wrap my brain around how to accomplish it, is this part right here where the cloak will flip up. So I want it to flip up and flip down. I don't know how to accomplish that with what I'm currently doing with this. Because I don't know how to stick a I don't know how to stick a thing right there to go up and down with it. So I might just have to sacrifice that. So, and then with that all that put together, I'm just literally duplicating, mirroring it, and this is what I end up with. Pretty cool, right? So then I take this comp, I can go back in here and do that, and we'll name this cloak and parent it to the torso, and I am going to just trim my. And I think that this, yes, this has a stroke layer style, and I need to reduce it to kind of match the others. And for some reason this has this red, so I am gonna go grab the green. I did an intro to a fake series for my master that I'm taking on as a student. Do it course, I'm the teacher. Nice. And now Franco, have I convinced you to dip your toes with Limber? Because I know you've been on these live streams and you know I stand for Limber over Duick in terms of rigging, but and you will, for those of you who are joining for the first time, you're going to see in a second why I love Limber, but I need to go grab this green. Now, I need to do a layer on top of this. Oops, I'm doing a mask on that pre-comp, but I actually want to. Whoa. I don't know why my stroke was so hot. Stroke. There we go. So this is going to be the this needs to be above the torso, and this needs to be, okay. So what we gotta do is we actually need to nice. We should all be limber guys. We should all be limber guys. Okay. So on this, oops. By the way, this little yellow box, or I mean, sorry, white box right there, that's just me holding down the space bar. Now, I normally wouldn't actually do this much of the drawing. And actually, this is probably going to have to go on a different layer now that I'm thinking about it. Well, I don't know. I guess it doesn't. Normally I would draw all this in Illustrator, but because I'm kind of trying to figure out how I should build out this character. I want that to be on this layer. Okay, cloak front needs to be on the torso. And well, it's just going to be easier to bring these below that. All right. And then I think I need to, oh, why isn't it stopping? Okay. I'm just gonna do this on its own layer. I think this is going to have to be on that layer. Nice. Make his cloak way bigger. His hood. This is the hood, yo. Nice. Man. I'll probably eventually do something with the hair. Maybe just make it like blow in the wind. Just to add a little bit of secondary animation. I also think I'm going to like add some animation to these toes. So let's tackle the arms. Now, I have to say when I was doing this animation, these arms were definitely the hardest part to animate. For sure. Because there's some foreshortening involved. And anytime you do that, it's just kind of complicated to try to figure things out a little bit. But this has been coined the Doctor Strange animation by some of you. So, go back to my reference. It's got long sleeves, bulky arms. So, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. Well, I know what I'm gonna do. Let's do this first. Do I use a bone or do I use a tapered limb? So if I use a bone, I get a little bit of a rounded look to the limb, you know? And I'm going to shorten that, maybe. Okay. Okay. So the other thing is, I'm gonna just turn up the nice. Okay. I do think I'm going to use a bone instead of a tapered limb, and I'll tell you why. Let's see. Let's do, okay, so for this, we need to duplicate, okay, we need to add trim paths. Pull that back a little bit. Well, actually, we need to pull it back a lot. About 50. Let's do 50%. Okay. And then we need to duplicate this. And we're going to do a stroke. Turn this stroke black. We're going to parent the stroke width to the stroke. Come on. Get to this one. But we're going to go in here and we're going to modify this expression to say +5. We'll see how that looks. It's maybe a little thicker than we want, so maybe +4. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. And we also want the... So basically this is limb outline. And I'm actually going to just rename this to bicep because this is the upper part of the arm. Bicep outline. And we are going to trim paths this a little bit down. Okay. Then we're gonna duplicate this layer and we're gonna move the trim paths 180 and same with this trim paths 180. Okay, and then we need to duplicate this again and change this stroke to a butt cap and this trim paths to till it links up. And I think we need to do the same thing actually. Let's try this before, well, and the stroke will be at a butt cap. Okay, so for this, for the forearm outline, just turn that off and okay, cool. Change this to a butt cap. Oops. Slightly. And then we'll duplicate this forearm and we'll change that back to a round cap. And then we'll just trim that back. Okay. So now with all that set up, we should okay, cool. That's basically it. I could actually do this and duplicate that and just turn this into a this? That's the round cap. That's the butt cap, okay. Sometimes it can get a little confusing when you start messing around with everything. All right. Now, make sure that the shoulders parented to the torso. And I'm going to see what happens if I just go over, look at some which effect did you use for waving? It's the wave warp. Let me just jump in there. Okay, wave warp effect here. And then this is kind of the back of the cloak waving, and I've set it to all edges. And then I created this, also set to pin all edges so that the edges don't move, also using wave warp. And then I'm using that as a mat to cut off the bottom of this. So that's what this looks like normally. And then I use this right here as a mat, inverted mat, to cut out the bottom of this. Then I'm just duplicating that, flipping it, going the other way, placing it on my guy. Boom. And then I'll animate it kind of flopping up and down as he floats up and down. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for the question. Yeah, trim paths on so with Limber you can create two different kinds of, this is the comment I'm addressing right now. With Limber you can create two different basic kinds of limbs. You can create a taper limb, which is a shape layer, and then you can create what it calls a bone limb, which is really just a path with 3 points, and it's just a stroke. And so with that, you can use trim paths to style it. And this is actually what DK tool does, rubber hose, those character rigging tools. That's essentially what they're doing. They're just using strokes and trim paths to help you style the limb. So now I will say that they, in their tools, have a system for modifying and customizing the limb, whereas with Limber, you just got to go in there yourself and apply everything. With DK tool, all the settings for like trimming the path are all in the effects panel, so it is a little bit easier if you're using bones with DK tool. But Limber for me provides so many other advantages that I'm willing to kind of put up with just going in myself and doing it. So plus with Limber, I can duplicate the limb and do a top half and a lower half, and that way I get kind of this little overlapping effect with the limb as it bends. This little overlapping effect right here, the line. Now you might say, hey, I use Duik and I can do that in Duik, but the thing is in Duik, it's just a lot harder to get like round limbs like this. Plus, with Limber, I can shorten the top and lower half of the limb, which means I can do some cool things like foreshortening, stuff like that. So, which is what we'll be doing here in a second. But I am going to take this animation and see if I can't copy and paste what I did here. So I'm going to go to the arms here, and I'm going to bring up all my I don't need to copy these middle and end size because I'm not using tapered limbs. Okay. Yeah, see, it's doing something wacky. So we're gonna have to modify this animation. Thinking I'm just gonna start over, try to do this again. All right, let's see if we can't animate this. Okay. And don't worry about this shoulder, I'm gonna fix that later. It's an easy fix. I don't know why motion's not working. There we go. So yeah, I'm just experimenting right now. It's kind of hard to see what it's gonna look like in the final product. And again, there's something poking out here, so just we can fix that later, but I almost feel like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to see if this is even going to work, is I'm going to why is my... There we go. Okay. See, I almost feel like what's that like point in the middle, you know? Could also just not do that. This little circle is kind of serving as like the opening of the sleeve. All right. Still got to work on that shoulder, connecting that up, but okay, now we just need to animate the Okay. Obviously, I need to let's see. Starts down. Oops, rookie mistake. Cool. Well, that's basically it, and then just repeat this same process for the other arm. But I think we'll leave it at that. So the arm goes up like that. He's going to kind of wave it around a little bit, and then it'll come down, and then he'll do the same thing down here, kind of wave it around, then go up, and then come down. But yeah, I think we're gonna jump off here pretty soon, unless anybody has some questions about the animation. Pretty cool, right? All right, guys. Well, that does it for today. And obviously, I need to extend that animation of the cloak waving in the wind. But yeah, thanks for joining me on today's live stream. Today's going to be a shorter one. It's the weekend. It's Friday. Some of you are up way too late, and it's time to go get some sleep. But always appreciate you guys asking questions in the chat and participating. Thanks to those of you who have joined in past live streams. I'm hoping next week we have a live stream a little bit earlier in the day on a weekday, like Wednesday or Thursday. I'm thinking next week's going to be a lot less it's going to be a lot less busy for me, so hopefully I'll have more time for it's going to be less busy with client work. I'm going to be full steam ahead on the course next week, working on that. So there's a lot of work to do there to get that ready. Again, if you want to go check that out, keyframeacademy.com/character-preorder. Pretty easy to remember. Link in the description. Also, I have links for all the different tools that I use in the description. They're affiliate links. If you are interested in those, you know, and want to support the channel, go ahead and use those links. I just get a little teeny tiny little commission off of any sales. Doesn't cost you extra, but I do get a little bit for that. So I'd appreciate it if you do end up buying those tools. Use my link, even if it's not a tool I'm using, but you end up going through my link and purchasing another tool from one of those vendors. I also get a little kickback for that, so I appreciate that. Be on the lookout for some more videos coming out in May on my channel, tutorials. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody joining me. If you just joining back in or you're just joining up, we're about ready to wrap up the live stream. Just because it's the weekend and you know, it's been a busy week, so I don't want to do too long of a live stream, but I do appreciate those of you who have joined in. If you're not yet following me on Instagram, go follow me at keyframe.ed because Keyframe Academy was already taken. And if you're on TikTok, go follow me on TikTok. I just opened a TikTok account, and I'm going to be posting short little tips and tricks on the TikTok account. And then, of course, if you're not yet subscribed, subscribe right there to YouTube. So, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again. Thanks again to you, those of you who have participated in the chat. Always appreciate the questions and the insights. So, yeah. We'll see you guys next week. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday live stream. And we'll be doing a different project than today. I'm probably going to finish this up before then.